I have an invisible disability and a service dog. She's a cardiac alert dog. I bring her everywhere, and it has been such a big quality of life difference for me. Yesterday I was in bulk foods buying some supplies and brought my dog with me. While I was buying candy, a girl nearby started crying. The mother walked over and started demanding that I leave the store immediately. I tried telling her that my dog was working and was not a pet. She wasn't having it and didn't believe me because I was too young to have a medical condition. She said that regardless of whether or not my dog was an authentic working dog, her child had autism and was terrified, so I had to leave immediately and wait until they were done shopping until I could come back inside. I refused and continued shopping. I simply went to another area of the store to get the rest of the stuff on my shopping list. The woman had to bring her child and leave the store because she was too scared. The entire time, she kept saying I should be ashamed of myself for scaring a child and refusing to leave. P.S. Yes, my dog was wearing a harness with patches on it to clearly identify it as a service dog and to not distract while she's working. Not the idiot. And let me be abundantly clear. As an autistic and multiply disabled adult, the only person who should have been ashamed in this situation was that mother, who like so bloody many autism moms, was so busy being self-involved that she wasn't actually thinking about what was best for her daughter. The moment her daughter got upset at seeing your dog, the solution was not to insist that you leave, but for them to leave. Not only because of the dog, but because at that point her daughter was overstimulated from fear and needed to be away from that entire situation. Staying in a noisy, busy store was the worst possible thing for that child. Even if you and your dog had left, it wouldn't have helped significantly. So to reassure you, you did absolutely nothing wrong. Not only were you in the right from an ethical, moral, and legal perspective, you weren't harming her autistic daughter. If her daughter was melting down, then that mother was the one who was being incredibly self-serving, trying to force the environment to adapt to her instead of taking her child out of the problematic environment. You did nothing wrong. You are not the idiot. The crap people with service dogs continue to go through appalls me. The people who think they can distract working dogs, the people who have fake service dogs, something I've encountered at my job, and this crap. In the year 2023, people still don't understand a service dog is essentially medical equipment. I'm just ranting, but not the idiot, of course. Not the idiot. It doesn't matter how well you look, you have a medical condition that requires a service dog. You did nothing wrong. Update: 1 month later, so I saw Karen with her child again. But this time in Walmart while I was grocery shopping. I made the mistake of ignoring my dog when she was alerting me to my heart rate. I genuinely thought she wanted the sandwich I was eating. Boy, was I ever wrong. I ended up really dizzy and out of breath and had to sit down in the corner of the store while she was doing deep pressure therapy. I must have been on the floor for about 10 minutes. During that time, a staff member at Walmart came over to check on me and ask if I was all right. They gave me a free bottle of water as well, and I am very appreciative of that. Anyways, while I was down, the same child saw me again from a distance and had another meltdown. The child's mom already explained to me last time that her daughter had autism. She was screaming and crying about my dog being there because she was terrified. I can understand why she may be scared because my dog is by no means small. She's a 115 pounds female cane corso. Aside from alert and response, she's also trained for mobility assistance. Her breed isn't typically used as a service dog, but she was a natural. I got her as a pet dog, and she became the service dog I needed. She's a 100% good girl. This woman did not leave the store with her child that was having a meltdown. Instead, she had the audacity to call 911 on me. Eventually, the cops did show up and she kept shouting that I was faking having a disability because I was too young to actually be disabled again, that it was illegal for me to have my service dog anywhere near food indoors, and that people like me are the reason why she has had to suffer lockdowns. I'm Asian. She said the least I could do is be considerate and stay home away from everyone and keep my dog at home where it belongs. My dog was very clearly vested with tags that say service dog. I showed the cops my medical note that I carry stating that I require a service dog. In the end, the manager banned the woman from coming to the local Walmart for a year. The cops only gave her a warning for wasting their time and escorted her off the property. Crying is not an emergency. OP. I agree. It was absurd of her to demand that I leave the store last time because my dog triggered her daughter's meltdown. Especially so this time. This woman did not learn her lesson. Ugh, you're too young to be disabled. I got that so many times as I've been disabled from infancy. I must be faking, or I just want attention, because who doesn't enjoy being harassed while trying to go shopping? It's so annoying. I'm sorry you had to go through all that, especially with the added xenophobia there. I am glad that both the cops and Walmart made it clear her behavior was not okay. I feel bad for her daughter because, instead of being supported and taught coping mechanisms to help her, her mother is letting meltdowns happen to try and manipulate others. It's just so crappy. Give your doggo a hug from me. Her daughter is disabled with autism. Yes, it doesn't have to be a disability, but it often is. She needs to work with her daughter for managing her stressors and regulation her stress levels better. Took me till my early mid-20s to really start to learn mine. And would have made my teen years a lot easier if I was able to learn them sooner. Backstory: I'm a young female with POTS, post-ural orthostatic tachycardia syndrome. From the outside, I look just like any other woman around my age. However, this has caused many encounters with entitled people when I use accessible seats, bathrooms, parking spots, etc. I made this little alert badge that says I have an invisible disability called POTS. But of course, an EM won't care. I was looking for parking at the grocery store and I saw somebody pull into an accessible spot without putting up their placard. No problem, it happens. In fact, 2 out of 3 times it turns out they just forgot and they are grateful that I reminded them. This entitled parent was that 1 out of 3. Excuse me? I said, parking in the accessible spot next to her. I think you forgot to put up your placard. EM glares at me while picking up her child. Her kid is about 3 years old. It's none of your business. Go away. Me. I just don't want you to get a ticket. The minimum fine in my area is $250. Pretty expensive for that EM to get a spot that's a bit closer to the door. I still don't suspect anything. EM. Well, do you have a placard? You look perfectly healthy. Not this again. So I resort to my usual response, not everyone has a visible disability. I motion toward my alert badge. EM doesn't listen. How do I know that's not your grandma's permit? Young kids like you think you're so privileged and entitled to everything. Yes. I am so privileged to have expensive hospital bills, a heart rate of 130 every time I stand up, failure of my autonomic nervous system, and get judged by entitled people who think they are the handicapped police. One of the store employees comes over after hearing the commotion and gets a police officer. EM panics and tries to run inside the store. Police. Excuse me, do you, the EM, have a handicap permit? EM says, well, no, but I have a child who uses a stroller. Then she glances at my alert badge and quickly says, wait, I mean actually I have a disability, but I just forgot my placard. She proceeds to slowly falls backward onto her knees, then hips, then back with her hand over her forehead. Then she immediately stands up and says, see? I have POTS. I just fainted. I'm silently laughing at this point because 1. Fainting doesn't look like that, and 2. Standing up that quickly would probably cause a person with POTS to pass out again. By the way, POTS isn't just about fainting when you stand up for too long. Less than half of people with it faint regularly. I have only fainted a few times since I was diagnosed. The police officer quickly writes a ticket for her and EM leaves. Now I'm hoping her child won't grow up to be like her. There is an app called Parking Mobility. Download it onto your phone. It will ask for the location of the offender's vehicle, and it supposedly forwards the information to the proper authorities. Also good for letting areas know where these spaces are needed. So here's the story. EM pulls into the parking spot that I was waiting for. I ended up parking a few spots across. EM. Haha. You snooze, you lose. I ask, do you have a handicap placard? EM looks at me like I have horns. I ask, are you handicapped? EM. I have kids. They were not with her. I take out my phone and start taking photos. Of her car, of the parking spot, of the sign that says handicap parking fine $. EM starts screaming. Stop taking pictures of my car. That's illegal. She now has her phone out and she's filming me doing this, me. No. Actually, it's not. We're on public property and I have not photographed you. And by the way, pointing at the sign which said a fine of $250, thank you. I just made $250. I convinced this idiotic EM that for turning her in for parking illegally, I got to collect the fine. Realistically, I don't get to collect the fine, but she didn't need to know that. When my husband was in a wheelchair, some EM parked in between the handicap spots. When I confronted her, she said I'll just be a minute. I really wanted to slap the crap out of her. I didn't, of course. The entitlement is insane. It's always good that entitled people get karma. OP, I hope you're doing well.